to JADME. Today we are going to discuss about a Lambda console. I can say Lambda tour or Lambda console walkthrough. So where you can find multiple areas of Lambda where you have to configure or manage your Lambda function. You have to manage your Lambda function. So before you have to execute any function, you have to know what are the options available in Lambda function. So without any further delay, I will just walk you through my Lambda console so that you will be aware. Yes, so I hope you already have AWS console access, and just if you are very new to AWS and you are just logging into AWS, then you can just go here and just type Lambda. It will just give a service called AWS Lambda. I know already I have explained what is Lambda, and it is completely on works as a compute service without any maintaining backend services, right, called serverless service. So let us say if you want to create any Lambda function, just go here and create either from scratch or use a blueprint, or if you have any container image or serverless app repository, whatever the options you have, you just go here and create. Just to pass the function name, choose your runtime. I'll just explain what is the function name and runtime, everything, and execution role, and just go to the architecture, whatever depending upon our required architecture we have to choose and create. For my case, I have just created a function name function called time to serverless. So if you see here, this is the function name, the name which you are creating a Lambda function name, that is your Lambda function. And if you see the ARN function, ARN is Amazon resource name. It is a unique for that specific service and the resource or service whatever we have created. So that is one thing you have to understand, that is unique one. And when you just create a function, it will create in this format. So it is importing your JSON, and this is your main function and the code which is written here. So we will test it also at the end. So before we navigate over there, if you see here, this is my function overview. This is the function name, that is a Lambda. I have added a trigger called S3. So let me show you add a trigger. I'm having multiple options here to add: API gateway, IoT, Alexa, Apache. These are the AWS in-house one: DynamoDB, Kinesis, S3, SNS, SQS. Apart from this, as the third party, I can say, or with the help of AWS Event Bridge, you can use Datadog, Neural Lake, like multiple third party like MongoDB. These all triggers you can use with AWS trigger option. So what is actually trigger? Trigger is a Lambda resource or a resource in other service that you configure to invoke your Lambda function. In response, lifecycle events, external requests are on any schedule. So your function can have multiple triggers. Now in my case, I have added only one trigger. You can have multiple triggers. So you now just I have added a S3. You want to send some sort of notification. You can also add this SNS, and you can go with the SNS topics what is available with this. Multiple triggers you can have. Each trigger acts as a client invoking your function independently. So that is what we can say about this area. Coming to, first we will go through the configuration and then we will come back. So if you see the general configuration, so here you can see memory is there. So whatever the function I have created, for that 128 memory is sufficient, and the timeout maximum it will run that function within the 3 seconds. That's why it is allocated by defaultly. You are having an option to edit it, and you can give the name, and you can give the memory whatever the size you want to give, up to 10240 MB only you can set. That's what I have explained in my first session in Lambda. And timeout also we have here. Now Lambda is having up to 15 minutes you can set. 15 minutes timeout you can set. And the execution role. So whatever the role you are trying to use to execute this specific function is an AWS Identity Access, that is IAM, AWS Access Management. role that grants the function permission to access any AWS service and resources. You provide this role, whatever this role, when you create a function. So this role, if you are already created any IAM role, you can directly call while creating, or if you don't have any role, execution role, you can just leave it as default. AWS itself, they will create for you to access or to invoke this Lambda. This Lambda will assume this role when your function is invoked. That is, whenever my function is trying to communicate or download or upload S3 to files to S3, then with the help of that IAM role, it will actually invoke. You can create an execution role for development that has permissions to send logs to Amazon CloudWatch, to upload some sort of trace data to X-Ray or any other AWS services, sending notifications. That kind of role is compulsory. I'll show you in coming sessions how to create a role also with the help of any other GUI or any CloudFormation templates. I will show you. This is all about general configuration. Coming to the triggers. So if you see here, configuring, main area is configuring what is our version, alias, layers, and trigger, and some other general configuration. So general configuration you already said. When it comes to triggers, so what is actually mean by trigger? A trigger is a Lambda resource. You can see here, a trigger is a Lambda resource or a resource in another service that you can configure to invoke your Lambda function in response to the lifecycle events or external requests or on a particular schedule. Particular schedule is nothing but like if you want to turn off or start your EC2 instance on any specific schedule, then also you can use. Your function can have multiple triggers, as I said earlier. So if you see the triggers, in my case, I have added S3. So how to add a trigger? If you want, just click here, just choose S3. I have already shown you, right? Just choose S3 and choose the which bucket you want. Already I have added this bucket, and event type. What is the event when this occurs? That time this Lambda to be triggered. That we can just choose here. And in my case, I'll go. If you want to have any specific folder or path or suffix, you can just go and acknowledge it. It will just create your trigger. This is the trigger I have added in this specific Lambda function. So when it comes to the permission, so what are the permissions you want to have? Already I discussed about the execution role. This role only, with the help of this role, this S3 will Lambda will communicate with S3 to upload or download files. And resource based policies, this will grants permission to the other AWS accounts or services on resource basis. If you want to add permissions, you can see here AWS account or AWS service. Just you can get the ARN of or IAM the console. Then you have to select the option and the statement ID. That's it. So these are the options. When it comes to the destination is also a AWS resource where Lambda can send events from an asynchronous invocation. You can configure a destination for events that fail the processing. Some servers also support a destination for events that are successfully processed. If you see here, your source type is asynchronous invocation or stream invocation. There are two types. If you are having asynchronous invocation, you are choosing here also again on failure or success, which SNS topic you want to trigger. I have multiple SNS topics. DynamoDB, I'll just create a save. And if we want to do stream invocation, you are also having an option here. What is the stream? This is Kinesis. If you want to stream for Kinesis or DynamoDB, you can also use this destination stream invocation. And I don't have at the moment any Kinesis or DynamoDB tables database, so I don't have any option to add over here. That is the destination. Coming to the environment variables, you can use environment variables to adjust your functions behavior without updating your code. Without updating your code, you can just use the environment variable is a pair of strings that is stored in a function's version specific configuration, and maximum it will take on runtime. So your environment variables available to your code and set additional environment variables that contain information about the function and invocation requests. So only environment variables you can define. A key value pairs are accessible from your function code. These are useful whenever you store configuration settings without any modification to your code. Tags is very important one. You can see the tags whenever if you want to create, right? You want to manage tag, add a tag. Like I can go and I will say project, and I'll say this project is some test project. I can add another project, environment, and I will say this is test dev environment, like that. I can add multiple tags. Just save it. Tag is basically organize the function in a manner of owner or project or department. And if you want to like separate, if you want to know how much billing is used for only dev lambda functions, so you can just filter with the tag of a dev function, dev lambda, where you're having tags of lambda dev environment, so that you can easily figure out your building also with the help of tags. Coming to the VPC. So if you want to configure your lambda function to connect to private subnets in your VPC in your AWS account, you can use this VPC option to create private network for resources such as database or caching or internal services. Just connect your function to the VPC to access. Just go and edit here while function is running. Just you can choose which VPC you want. Just you can choose this, and what is the subnet you want to use. Just use that and just save that. That is VPC. Monitoring and operation tools. So monitoring by default it is enabled. Okay, by default monitoring is enabled. Tracing is not enabled. Enhanced monitoring control not enabled. Code profiling also, everything is not enabled. Just logs and metrics will be enabled by default. If you want to enable all the other monitorings, you can just go and use this. When it comes to the concurrency, in concurrency we have multiple options. See, function concurrency, use unreserved account concurrency. Unreserved account concurrency is already set to 1000 by default. If you want to edit it, you can just go and use some reserved concurrency. That is unreserved concurrency. By default it will set to 1000. So what is actually concurrency here? You can use concurrency settings to ensure that our production applications are highly available and highly responsive to the request or task. To prevent a function from using too much concurrency, to reserve a portion of your account's available concurrency for a function, we have to go with the reserved concurrency that I have shown you. Reserved concurrency splits the pool of available concurrencies. Basically, it will just split the pool of available concurrency, only uses concurrency from its dedicated pool. That we have an option here. Just go ahead and just it will use dedicated pool of concurrency, whatever is assigned reserved concurrency it will use. That's where this concurrency will help, and more our applications are highly available and highly responsive. So that's where we have to use this basically. Coming to the asynchronous invocation. Asynchronous invocation, when you invoke a function, you can choose to invoke it synchronously or asynchronously. We have two options. Okay, with synchronous invocation, you wait for the function to complete the process and return to a response, and it will return a response. With a synchronous invocation, lambda queues that event for processing and returns a response immediately. So basically, if you see here, asynchronous invocation is set by default 6 hours and 0 minutes, and retry attempts is default. By default, what will happen whenever any function fails, it will lambda will try to retry. What I can say is retry to execute the function again, some cases like the timeout or memory issue. So it will try to run the lambda function with 2 retries, and these retries will be queued up to 6 hours. Okay, maximum of 6 hours. This is asynchronously it will be queued. So what you have to do, you have to edit and you have to increase the retry limits based on the requirements. By defaultly that is set to 2. You can see here. So when you invoke it, like it will just lambda returns an error that event is kept in the queue for up to 6 hours. It will keep in the queues for 6 hours. To change the default retry behavior, adjust the number of retry items. That's what we have to just adjust according to our requirement. Whenever any event fails, all attempts are stays in a asynchronous invocation queue for too long. That is what asynchronous meaning. Coming to the code signing. Code signing is not at nothing by default, it is not enabled. No code signing configuration. Code signing is not configured for this function. What is code signing? You can attach a code signing configuration to a function. With code signing, what will happen, right? We can ensure that the code has been signed by an approved source and has not been altered since assigning, and that code signature has not expired or revoked. Coming to the database proxy. Database proxies, I hope already I have explained, but yeah, let me explain you. Whenever you create an Amazon RDS database proxy, right? For our Lambda function, this database proxy manages a pool of database connections and relays required relays queries from a function. This enables, what will happen if you are enabling this proxy to reach high concurrency levels without exhausting database connections. So if you are having more requests is coming to the database connections, sometimes what will happen, right? You will get error. So database is not responsive, so you will get some error. So to avoid that, just use database proxies to, and this enables a function to reach high concurrency. See here, this is the options we have. What is the proxy identifier? You just define, choose an RDS instance DB cluster. If you are having, it will show you you don't have any RDS cluster, that is not using for your Lambda function. This is the secrets manager. So whenever you are using any secrets from AWS secret manager, just you can call from there, and IAM role to and authentication. If you want giving any execution role you are giving, that's well and good. If you are passing password, that's not a recommended one, but yeah, if you are doing with that, you can go and perform with the database proxies. Coming to the file system, this is just to mount an elastic file system. We have EFS that you can mount it as a local directory with Amazon EF. Your function can the code can access and modify shared resource safely at high concurrency. File system is high available one, so there is no nothing to monitor like when the memory is reaching, like sorry, in the my space is consuming more, or I'm going to reach my maximum space. It's having some 8 hexabytes, so you can also use this file system. State missions, so you can just see the file systems. No file systems is concentrated. As of now we are not using, so VPC is not configured because this file system EFS will use a subnet in one availability zone. That's where it is saying you are not configured any VPC for this one. And the last option is state mission. In the configuration, if you see, state mission is basically to orchestrate our Lambda functions. If you are having 10 Lambda functions to run one by one, so you don't want to invoke it, you don't want to trigger. So assume you are having some work that needs to be, you are having some scenario. So the first you want to trigger one Lambda function, and then once that Lambda function will complete, then I want to execute my another Lambda function. That time this state mission is nothing but step functions in AWS that will actually orchestrate our Lambda functions. Just if you want to create, it will navigate to the next new step function console. Here we can just create, and we can choose which Lambda function to be executed first and second is executed second. That options you can just execute over there. Coming to our basic code, see, this is our code. How to write a code also I will show you for advanced things. So but for now here you can just focus on a simple code. You can see code properties. What are the properties of this code? Here we are having the size of our package and when it is modified, and we are also having a runtime. Here you can see the runtime and handler and architecture. Whenever we are creating a function, we saw what is the runtime. We have to choose either it will support for few languages only, and handler we will just see. This is lambda underscore function dot lambda underscore handler. This you have to just consider it. Lambda underscore handler and lambda underscore function dot lambda handler is our main handler. See, lambda function is my function name and lambda handler is my main function. This is the lambda function. If you are not using this lambda, see, if I go and I'll change this lambda handler to some main, so my lambda function won't work. So I have to make sure whatever I have passed in this main function and my function name, I have to make sure that is my lambda handler. I'll just test it. It will give the error and then we will modify and we will just come here and we will just verify that and modify and we will test again. So runtime provides a specific language, specific environment that runs in an execution environment that depends upon your like either Python, Node.js or Java, whatever it is supported. Okay, and also we have an option here, layers. Layer is very important concept when we are working with our production grade environments. A lambda layer is a zip file where you can archive that and it contain additional code or other content than whatever we are using for this specific function. A layer can contain library or custom runtime or data or configuration file, I can say. These layers provide a convenient way to package the libraries and other database dependencies that you can use with your lambda function. By using this lambda function, you can reduce the size of upload deployment. Layers, you can reduce the size of upload deployment archives and make it faster to deploy our code. Layers also promote code sharing and separation of responsibilities so that it can be faster on writing business logic. So, and also we have some limitations. Up to 5 layers only we can add actually. Up to 5 limitation also is there. Up to 5 layers per function we can just add that. And also if you see that test, okay, so in test what we have to write, just yeah, and one more option I want to show you. Upload from, either just directly you can inline, you can modify, or that zip file also you can just, if you click on this one, it will ask you to upload some zip file, so you just zip it and you can just upload this. So this is the one more option, and this is also having some limitation. See, for files larger than 10 MB, consider uploading using S3. That means this is having only up to 10 MB size, whatever the zip file you are having. So upload from Amazon S3. So I want to just give the path of my zip file where it is having more than 10 MB, so that it will just invoke from that specific S3, it will just call. And one more option I saw here, actions. See here, alias, create alias. So what is alias? You can create one or more aliases for our lambda function. By that, this lambda alias is like a pointer to a specific function version, right? We are maintaining some versions. Users can access that function version using the alias of ARN, Amazon resource name. You can export the function with the, like, whatever the configuration we have done for this function, that you can export with ASM, AWS SAM, that is serverless application model, or download deployment package. Whatever the package we have attached created or loaded from S3, that we can download from this section. You can just go here, and if you go here, I'll just show you what it is actually having. You can see, right? This is having only, this is the function which we have defined over in our actual lambda function. That is the things you have to learn from the lambda function. So we will quickly test this function. So error message, it is saying that handler main missing on module lambda function. So it is saying that main is missing in main module. So what we will do, we just modify over there, right? We will also here just modify main, because our handler we have set as changes not deployed, so we have to deploy it. So now changes is deployed. If you see here, like lambda function underscore main, instead of handler we have made as main. Now we will just execute. Say here response is coming. That is how function how the function actual function will execute. You can see the logs, report request ID, duration it is taken 1.14 milliseconds, and it is built to next millisecond, that is 2 milliseconds it is built. And memory size it is taken, just a moment I'll show you, it is taken 120 MB, max used is 36. We have set a limit of 128, okay, but it is only 36 MB, and initial duration is 107 milliseconds. So that is what we have to learn, how this billing is also happened on milliseconds and the function is executed. We don't, like whatever the lambda function we created some 6 hours ago, it won't charge from the 6 hours. Whatever the time this is invoked, executed, that specific time only it will charge for us. That's what we have to know here, right? I hope I have covered all the areas of this specific function. Like test is, that's what we have tested at the as of now. And monitoring is main important part even in lambda or any other AWS services. See how many invocation is, what is duration, how many errors is there, what is the throttle, and how many asynchronous delivery failures, what is the concurrent, how many concurrent executions also is done. Everything it is showing. You can see, right, how many invocation is there. That all the metrics configuration we just saw. And aliases, alias also, as of now there is no alias. If you want, you can just create, and the version you have to mention, like just you can go with the latest one. If you want to choose with any weighted alias, you can just go with that also. So these are the main areas we have to concentrate whenever you are running any function, lambda function from the AWS graphical user interface. So when it comes to, so you can see here the dashboard. So how many functions you have, what is the storage you are already used, how many account concurrency, how many you are having, how many unreserved is there, account level metrics, everything it will show it this account level in this specific island region only it will show. You can see resource for Europe island. If you are switching to any other region, it will shows accordingly for that specific region. I don't have any application, I have only one function, that is time to less. Just create function I have just used, and I just given the name, that is time to serverless. I will give, okay, I just use space, so no spaces you have to use, right? Yeah, like here runtime, see, choose the language to use to your write your own code, either language, .NET, Go, Java, Node, Python. Even see Python only 3 plus version is only supporting, there is no Python 2. Python 2 is not there. So make sure you are using as per your requirements, right? And architecture also one of the main important area where you have to run your lambda function. That is also one of the important aspect when you are taking this one. So this instructs set architecture determines, like whatever the determination it is giving, the type of compute process that lambda is to run this function. So if you are using this x86 _64, it will go and run on the backend. Lambda provide a choice of these two options for us. That's where it is actually will run, and I'll just create this. It will simply create a lambda function and we are testing, but this is not the real-time scenario where you are just running the lambda function. You have to invoke your lambda function whenever any events occurs. That's what where I am going to take you in next upcoming sessions. This is just I want to show you simply. That's where I was just given overview to this area. So I have just walked about versions, alias, layers, triggers, and some configurations. And reserved concurrency, provision, network is a VPC, that's what, database proxies, file system, that is EFS, code signing, tags. These all are many important topics in AWS Lambda function when you are working with a production grade Lambda or even test also you have to consider. That's it for today, and hope you enjoy this walkthrough. And let's wait for actual video which we are actually using on real-time scenarios. Thank you everyone.